Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn here in Brooklyn. Still on your journey to take over America, one bit at a time, as you said, one fight night at a time. Tonight was exciting, man.
Show, yeah.
You know, as a fan, beyond just being a media guy, the fight delivered. The attendance, not so much. And you talk about, you have fun with how much Jacobs is making. At what point do we turn a profit on this? Is it difficult to pay him what you're paying him?
I was reasonably happy with the attendance. I mean, it did like half of last week, but still, I think it was 7,000, and we did 6,000 at the NYCB. We're coming in a week after a really good card with Brona Vargas, which is a much bigger fight than Jacob Sulecki. Let's not kid ourselves. Charlo was on the card as well. Gervonta Davis was on the card as well. But if I would have done a show at the O2, if I would have done Bellew Hay at the O2, or another promoter did Bellew Hay, and I went the week after, if I did 7,000, I'd be absolutely over the moon. So I'm not. I mean, people will try and sort of put a focus on, Hearn didn't do very well on the gate. No problem. We're learning. It was a great atmosphere tonight. It was a really good show. It was a good win for Danny Jacobs, and the next move is 2 weeks' time for our new announcement, and then you're going to see massive fights, and you're going to see probably sold-out arenas every time. So it won't be long, the old son.
When we talked about your signing of Jacobs, you said the world needs to know his story. Boxing fans need to know the kind of man he is and what he's been through. I think that's been done. Yeah. They know what it is. What is it that needs to be done now to put him in a position where you can pay a Billy Joe Saunders the kind of money he wants?
Yeah. That's going to be difficult. That particular fight is always going to be. I don't really know how those financials will work. What you need to do to turn 7,000 into 14,000 is to put him in a fight that people are excited about, that you can build. We knew that Sulecki was going to be a good fight. Most people didn't. That was the problem. If they knew they were going to get that fight, you might have done 10, 11, 12,000. And in fact, we probably must have lost 2,000 or 3,000 to the Brona fight last weekend. So could we have done 9 or 10? Would have been actually a really good crowd. So when he's got a dance partner, Charlo, for example, this place sells out straight away for that fight. So that's all that's next, really. He's had his 2 massive paydays on HBO. Now he's got to gamble, and HBO will want him to gamble as well. And hopefully that will come in the form of Golovkin or one of those guys.
Who's the biggest gamble for him right now?
Probably Charlo, because he actually doesn't have a belt. So what do you actually get out of it? I think for Danny, the satisfaction of beating him and being in some kind of grudge match that the public are interested in. Danny wants a belt, but he also wants to give the public great fights, and he wants to be in great fights and big nights.
And as we're pressed for time, I just want to touch on the heavyweight fight tonight, because there's been so much discussion between you and Big Baby Miller, and he's made a point that you don't promote him, but you've made him promises. Where does this fight having happened tonight, him being successful, put him in your future or in the future of Joshua?
Well, firstly, I thought it was a really good performance, coming off the WAC performance, which was a good result on paper, but not that exciting. I thought it was an exciting heavyweight fight. De Halpus boxed well, but Miller did a job on him. I think he's going to be tough to beat, Gerald Miller. If he's got the chin that I think he might have, he's going to be very tough to beat. I haven't made him any promises. I just said that you are definitely an option for us for Anthony Joshua. If Joshua doesn't fight Wilder or Povetkin and decides to come to America for his debut, we'd do it in the Barclays Centre. And who else would you choose other than Gerald Big Baby Miller from Brooklyn with a big mouth? So he would fit the bill. He'd be the perfect guy. But there's so much going on with Anthony Joshua right now that we're, we'll see what unfolds over the next couple of weeks.
And lastly, he's been built on your card. He does, good numbers in the press anyway. People turn up to see him fight. Is you being his promoter something that you consider? He doesn't have a major promoter. Is that a kind of fighter you'd want?
No, we work closely with Dimitri Salita, obviously, on the shows. And like I said, next couple of weeks, we'll be looking to add at least a dozen top names to the stable as soon as possible.
You want to give us a little teaser about what we're going to hear in a couple of weeks?
No, but you'll be invited.
Yeah, Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn here in Brooklyn. The English takeover is underway, so we're just one fight away, I guess, a couple of weeks from a big announcement. Eddie Hearn, Radio Raheem. Pleasure to see you. See you next week, man.
And DeOntay Wilder, he's from Alabama.
No, he is, but it just seemed like, you were like, oh,
I said, I got an email from a guy from Alabama. That's what I did. Now, with regards to Shirley Winkle, you have to understand, this guy came up at a press, I think he's probably here actually, and he pulled out an email from me, and he read it to the public, So I just said in one interview, Shirley Winkle. It just came out of my mouth, right? And since then, everybody in boxing is not very, I mean, I'm not very popular, right? This guy is massively unpopular, right? Even members of Deontay Wilder's team can't stand this guy. And they phoned me to tell me this. So I just said Shirley Winkle once. But I got so many phone calls from people laughing about it, it's stuck in my head. So a lot of the time I'm trying to drop it in, but a lot of the other times I'm saying it subconsciously. In fact, if I spoke to him on the phone, I would probably call him Shirley. In fact, I've now convinced myself that his name is no longer Shirley Finkel. It is Shirley Winkle. And that's genuine. That's not trying to be like clever or name calling. It's stuck so far in my head that I actually went to respond to an email today and I put, Dear Shirley. And, you know, I'm not, I sent my dad to see him once because you have to understand, we're very different, from very different schools, okay? You can't not have respect for an older person like that who's been in boxing for such a long time. He was involved in what? Tyson, Lewis. So, but there comes a time where they just don't have it anymore, you know? And it's time for the younger generation. So he can't, these people get really infuriated with me. A bit like Lou DiBella. I've known Lou DiBella since I was probably 10 years old. But every now and again he'll do an interview and he'll lose his shit, right? And he just has to be put back in his box by me. But I would only do that if he piped up. But I didn't start the Shirley Winkle thing because it's just when he did that email thing, I thought it was a bit of a bitch move. So I thought, Shirley, get back in your box. And I did the same to Lou. But it's not. You have to understand as well. Shakespeare said all the world's a stage. So what that means is we're all characters. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm irrelevant. But in this particular play, and it's only a play, it's only a game, I am this character. So for you guys, I am the slightly younger, brash Brit who talks a lot, who winds people up, who might be a little bit disrespectful to people if that's your opinion every now and again. But that's okay. Whether that's me or not, you'll never know. But I think I'm just being myself, but I'm also enjoying playing that game and that role and winding people up. Like, I love that Shirley and like Lou will, if they see me on TV, they just come out in this bit of rage, like, I hate you. And I don't think Heyman probably don't like me either, but he probably has a bit more understanding that I'm important. And when we come back in the second week of May to announce a massive deal in America, these guys, someone needs to be there for them because they're not going to feel very well when they hear what's about to happen.
So why do you feel like the PBC is not successful?
Again, I have a lot of respect for Al Heyman, and I don't want to comment too much on it because I do a lot of work with him and I like the people. There's a lot of money invested in the PBC. Okay? So I'm not sure how much is left.
Can you promise the fans and the media that you're going to do your absolute best to make the fight between Wilder and Joshua next?
Yeah, I'll be more honest than that. I will do my absolute best to work in the best interests of my client. Ultimately, my client, Anthony Joshua, is the complete boss of this operation. Okay? He doesn't work for me. I work for Anthony Joshua, and it's always been that way. He has had every single penny of every single show. Yeah? And we'll take our money from Anthony for doing our services. It's never a purse. Every penny that comes in on a pay-per-view, every penny that comes in on a gate, every penny that comes in sponsorship, international TV, sees it all with his team, has it all. That's why he's making 10 times what Deontay Wilder's making per fight. We've built a very successful brand. So I will do my utmost to deliver what Anthony Joshua wants me to deliver, which is the best deal for him, the right deal for his career, and the Deontay Wilder fight, which is what he wants.
What did Anthony Joshua say about the $50 million offer?
He said, is it real? I said, possibly. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I think we should get a contract. He said, okay. I said, I'm going to try and meet him tomorrow to discuss it more. He said, okay. Then he read the stuff and he said, I said, they won't meet me. He said, why not? I said, because they want you to accept the deal first. He said, well, you've got to talk about the deal. I don't, you know, I've already said before, I don't know what more I have to say then. We are interested. If you want the fight, that should make you jump. Like, if I wanted this fight, like I said, after them offered them 12.5 million, if they said to me, we're interested, mate, I would have been able to lift tables up sitting down. I would have been that fucking hard, right? So I would have been like, sorry, I would have been like, seriously, I would have been on a plane. I would have been there. They would have had a contract that night. If they wanted the money, it would have been sent that day into escrow. That's what I don't understand. And it's really bemusing when people go, well, why don't you just say yeah? Because it don't work like that. We don't want to say yeah. Then they send for a contract and it's bullshit and we can't sign it. And say, oh, they've gone back on their word. They accepted the fight and now they won't take it.
Well,
it's
I
also
think people were just saying that, why don't you verbally agree and then...
Because a verbal declaration can be binding in New York. You've got to be very careful. We can't agree a fight until we know the terms. What is so difficult about that?
Sorry, we're going to have to wrap this up very quickly.
I was enjoying this.
No,
Go on.